This is the Patrick Alexander Podcast. Welcome to your upgrade. Everyone, welcome back to the show. Thank you for tuning in. So, as you probably know by now, this podcast is about personal responsibility. I feature people, I ask people to come on this podcast to talk about their health. What happens when people stop outsourcing their health, their body, their life basically, and they start taking responsibility for how they live. Today, I'm joined by Brian Kelly. Now, Brian is known on social media as Hunter-Gatherer Mindset. Alongside sharing his own health transformation, he's also the co-founder of the Carnivore community, which is a platform that hosts regular live stream conversations within the carnivore space. And through these live streams, the community has featured conversations with actually really well-known voices in the carnivore scene, such as Dr. Anthony Shafee, Dr. Bart Kay, Dr. Sean Baker, Dr. Robert Kiltz, among others. And rather than pushing a single narrative, Brian's work sits kind of at the intersection of lived experience, conversation, and personal responsibility. Brian, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Patrick. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
So let's start with this first question that I have for you. If someone just tuned in and doesn't know you, what would you like the takeaway message to be from what you're basically about to share?
Yeah, well, I'm originally from Ireland. I'm currently living in Denmark, but I work all over Europe in the data center industry. And basically, I saw my life changing before my eyes about 2 years ago. And I didn't like what I saw. I had become overweight by a long shot with a huge gut. I was obviously inflamed. My face didn't look good. Somebody took a photograph of me on a construction site. It's on my page. And it horrified me, to be honest. And once I saw that go up on a WhatsApp group for the construction site in front of 500 people that were on that group, and I zoomed in, it wasn't a picture of me completely, but as I zoomed into that and saw what I'd become, this middle-aged pot-bellied guy that looks like he was heading down the road of heart attacks and obesity and all that kind of thing. Well, that's when I changed completely, Patrick. I started looking at, number one, my own health and what I was putting into my mouth, I knew that from other people's stories, the medical system and the doctors, they really don't know much about it. They can put prescription drugs into you. They can, put a Band-Aid over everything, but they never really seem to be able to heal anything, in my opinion. So I started taking my own life into my own hands, basically, or my own health, should I say. And slowly but surely, I educated myself on a lot of things. Didn't quite find carnivore first. Through, researching mainly on social media, I found the likes of Barbara O'Neill. She's not carnivore, but I learned a lot of valuable lessons from her. In regards to seed oils, in regards to grains, turn into sugar, and carbohydrates was another one. The need for proper hydration, using sea salt and all that kind of stuff. And of course, the dangers hidden in those packets of processed foods or ultra processed foods. So having started to cut all that junk out, I was starting to feel a lot better already. I did see some weight loss in that first 6 months, but felt there was more to it. And once I start digging, I keep digging kind of thing. And more and more these carnivore doctors that we just mentioned earlier, the Dr. Chaffees and the Sean Bakers and Kilts and all these guys started popping up with this carnivore terminology that I hadn't heard before, really, And that was where it all really took off. I mean, within a couple of weeks of me going strict carnivore, the weight was dropping off. My joints were feeling better. My gout disappeared completely. It was already alleviating on the kind of keto that I was on. And I was finding myself a lot lighter on my feet and much better able to do my job. I was able to get up and down staircases a lot easier at work.
Yeah.
All that kind of thing. So
can I just stop you there for 1 second,
yeah,
Brian?
go
Because
ahead.
I'd love to hear, like, just for a clarification for people who don't know you. So you said you saw this photo, because I find this quite a pivotal moment, right? Just
Oh,
having
absolutely.
basically one photo, because this resonates with me. I don't know if you know my story. You might have heard it when I was a guest on podcast, but I also had this one particular photo that I saw, and I was like, oh my God, Patrick, you're almost 50 years old and you start to look like you're well in the autumn of your life. So when you share this with me, that resonates. So you saw this photo, which was shared in this group with 500 people, which of course maybe made it even more embarrassing. But there must have been photos taken of you before. What was about this particular photo that changed everything? Why this one? Why not the photo that was taken before?
This one was taken side on, so you could see blatantly how big the belly was, if you stage a photograph with family or whatever, you try to hide as much of that as you can. As you know, you suck it in, whatever. This was taken unbeknownst to me, so there was no posing kind of thing. There was no chance to cover it up or turn differently. So it took me completely by surprise. That's why it was so effective in shocking me into realizing that was a pivotal moment that probably changed my life for the remainder, however long it may be.
Probably much longer than it would have been.
I would think so. I hope so. Yeah.
So this photo was more about weight. You saw yourself puffed up, big belly. Were there any physical ailments or issues that you were dealing with as well that kind of reinforced this feeling, man, I need to change something in my life?
Absolutely, yes. Like I mentioned earlier, I had pretty severe gout. And in construction management, I'm on the ground all day, every day, running around the building site, chasing guys around the place, and up and down staircases. I was getting slower and slower. And I realized that at the time, that it was affecting my work a little bit. I couldn't climb a staircase without having to stop halfway and take a breath, and I was getting heart palpitations just going up and down a staircase. So there was that. There was, general joint pain. I had severe pains in my neck every time I twisted it and turned it. You could see, like, I went back through my phone and saw a few selfies I had taken. And you could see in my face alone, it was very puffy. I have a few of those on my page as well. And they were embarrassing to look back through because I hadn't noticed before, It's only when that one photograph, that was taken off guard and shown to a number of people, that really changed my life. That was the pivotal moment,
That's beautiful. Yeah. And the thing is, I mean, I'm sure that resonates as well, is that we see the people around us, our friends, kind of going through the same downfall as we are. So we believe it's normal. It's normal you get pains. It's normal you're gaining weight. It's normal that you're taking medication now because you know what? You're getting older. It's all normal.
Exactly.
And we say it to each other. Yeah, I'm getting older. so it's totally normal. And either you have a
Mm.
wake up call or you don't. And the majority of the people, unfortunately, don't have a wake up call. Maybe
No.
through hearing your story, they will, but you had this wake up call through the photo. And I've seen that photo online, and I will show it to the people here as well, because I
Yeah.
think it's a very striking photo. You weren't even obese, but you can just see how different you are now compared to then.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you look back to kind of, because there was that one particular moment, what changed internally before any physical changes started to happen? Was it purely the frustration of that photo, or did you come to realize when you saw that photo that actually stuff had been brewing already within you,
Mm.
and this photo was just basically the tipping point?
Yeah, I think you nailed that one, Patrick. It was the tipping point. I had
Mm.
realized that I was slowing down. I had realized that I was putting on a lot of weight, especially around the midsection. But I mean, yeah, I could feel once I started the keto journey, straight after that, I went straight into it pretty much and started researching and dropping out rubbish foods out of my life, stopping the fast food, the takeaways, and started cooking real food a bit more. I could feel internally there were changes happening. You know, the gut became calmer, um, and yeah, the genes started getting looser, and you know, it was powerful. Right, you know, from the start of even the keto journey. Yeah, it really was a pivotal thing in my life, and it's definitely changed it for the better. Um, yeah, an amazing discovery, and as you know, I'm very involved for the last 12 months online and in the carnivore space, and on a lot of these lives and podcasts. And as you know, once we discover, um, we have been on the carnivore diet for a year or two, we have to tell people this because it's just something within us. We just, as you know, we can't shut up about it now because we feel amazing on this. And you know,
So
I've
how does your environment react if you say you can't shut up about it now? So you've become like this newly converted
uh,
carnivore. Well, not new anymore, but once it
no,
starts to really change your life, basically, how does your environment react? You can't go to a work site and say like, because I assume that a lot of your colleagues there are also not the healthiest people in the world. Are you
oh
just
no,
going there and are you giving them advice, or what did they say about your change? How does that work in real life for you?
yeah. The thing about it is, the colleagues I work with now are not the colleagues I worked with before my transformation. Let's call it. Um,
Right.
you know, I work with varying different sites all over Europe. So, I mean, the next bunch of colleagues I'll be with are total strangers. What I've learned to do is to not preach, but to show by example. I've learned the hard way. I've tried with family, as you know, I've tried with family, and that doesn't work out if you try pushing it. Letting people see how you feel and letting them see what you're eating. I mean, I've had the best of conversations in the canteen at work because people look at my plate and they say, "My God, where are the greens? Or where's the salad? Or, you know, are you only eating meat and eggs? Or, you know, sometimes a bit of fish, whatever it may be." So let them come to you, and then you can slowly drip feed them, you know, your story, number one, and, you know, point out the nutrition that's on your plate compared to other things, and slowly drip feed it to them. And yeah, I've actually turned a few guys around that had tried everything, you know. And you've got these gym bros coming at you then with their chicken and rice and thinking, you need, where are the carbs? Yeah, you need carbs to put on muscle, man. You know, you've all these guys as well, and they're totally brainwashed with this calories in, calories out garbage. And yeah, those are fun conversations. I tell you that. And then you've got the heart attack people. They come at you and they say, "Whoa, you're eating all that saturated fat. Oh my God, you're going to die within months." You know, it's comical, really. Uh, what can happen in the canteen at work. All these guys, coming in with their ready meal dinners and putting them in the microwave and all that, and it's just junk. Um, so yeah, I've found that don't preach, just show, and they'll come around. They'll start asking questions. That's my tactic now. Um, and my friends at home in Ireland, that mostly my age. I mean, they're all suffering the same way I was 2 years ago, and they see me every 6 months, let's say, or maybe a little more sometimes, and they saw the changes happen to me pretty quickly because they'd only see me in 6 months installments, let's say, and uh, quite quickly they started asking questions. And just this New Year's Eve, I got a phone call from two of them. They said, "Brian, we're going to start this," and I couldn't be happier. And I said, "Guys, I don't care day or night. If you're struggling, call me. If you want some coaching, it's free for my mates. I don't care. I'm just so happy that you found that this has worked for me, and it can work for you too." So yeah,
That's beautiful.
that's made my New Year's Eve kind of week, let's call it. Um,
Absolutely.
so it's an amazing feeling when you get that message through and it can change somebody else's life.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it. As you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. And New Year's, of course, is also such a
Mm.
great period for people to just start with their New Year's resolutions. And if they have someone like you who's basically lived through the experience, and they, as you say,
Mm.
they can call you day and night. So it's not, and there's someone to hold them accountable, because hopefully you hold them accountable, and I guess you will hold them accountable. They
Mhm.
actually have a real good chance of succeeding. And there's nothing more beautiful than helping people, is there? Especially helping people feel awesome.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I
Yeah.
do. I send them a text every other day. Let's say, how's it going? Are you struggling with anything? Blah blah blah. Don't forget your electrolytes. Make sure you're hydrated. That's normally the first thing that kicks in is dehydration, as you get rid of the carbs. So yeah, if I can get them through the first couple of weeks, as you know, once they transition and once they become fat adapted, it becomes easier after that, and they can run on their own. Uh, but yeah, I'm delighted for them. I really am.
Amazing.
If
Amazing.
I could just get through to my family in the same way now, I'd be happy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's still hard.
it is. It's hard to sit back and watch. As my mum, she's on a lot of medication, and it's tough to watch, and she won't believe a word I say. So
Yeah,
what can I
there
do?
will always be those. Yeah. Were you on medication at the time and you're not on them anymore?
No, funny enough, because I'm the most stubborn guy in the world. I hate the sight of a doctor's office. Always have, always will. Even more so now that I know what I know. Um, but yeah, I was that stubborn guy that just, the pain will go away. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. It's just, oh yeah, it's just something I ate, kind of a guy. So
It
yeah, I
was
was having.
something you ate as well.
It was, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. But I was getting these pains and aches and all that kind of stuff, and I was just, suck it up. It'll be okay in a couple of days, kind of a guy. And yeah, it might have got a bit better after a couple of days, but you know, that was going to continue and get worse and worse. So yeah, luckily all those little aches and pains are gone. Um, you know, um, your fitness improves. I mean, everything completely improves. You can jump up out of bed in the morning with loads of energy, having had a great night's sleep, which was another thing I had been. That's one thing I had diagnosed actually was I had sleep apnea. And I went on this, breathing apparatus. I can't remember the name of it.
It's a CPAP.
That's the one,
Yeah.
CPAP. Yeah, I had that on for a couple of
There's that
nights.
massive
Yeah.
machine next to your bed with like a hose. It's like you're in hospital, right? And it goes
Yeah.
over your face. That must be really comfortable sleeping as well.
Oh, it was horrible. But yeah, they diagnosed me from the results on that I had pretty severe sleep apnea. So yeah. Apart
How
from
long?
that,
How long before you could drop that machine?
Oh, that was just a test. It was actually a small little machine, a little one that they told me to bring home and wear every night for 5 nights or something like that, so that they could get a reading. That's all it was. It wasn't a permanent thing.
I see.
Yeah. So yeah, at the time I was waking up every 2 hours, getting out of bed, going to the bathroom, not being able to get back to sleep. End up putting on the kettle or something and just sitting awake for an hour, and then eventually falling asleep on the sofa or something. Yeah, it was horrible. It really was. But that's all gone now. I sleep solid. When I get tired, I have to go to bed as soon as possible, and I go into a deep sleep immediately, and I sleep solid for at least 7 hours now,
Yeah.
and I wake up completely refreshed because it was a proper deep sleep. And that's one thing that all carnivores seem to report, is that their sleep changes dramatically. And the energy you have then throughout the day is amazing, because number one, you're not constantly thinking about food. Okay, you need food, but you're not constantly thinking about snacking. You're not constantly thinking about, where am I getting my next meal from. You think, oh my goodness, it's lunchtime is almost over. I haven't eaten. Oh well, I'll push through. That can happen easily enough. Yeah, the changes are just dramatic in every way. You feel the fat burning away. Obviously, the visceral fat is the last to go. The subcutaneous seems to slip away pretty easily. Um, I feel that my fingers are thinner. My hands feel more agile. Um, all the excess body fat from all over your body, that goes first quite easily. And then eventually, through time, the love handles and the visceral fat start coming down.
Yeah.
Um, and it's an amazing feeling when it's all gone and you reach that baseline of good sleep, prolonged energy throughout the day. Um, mental clarity is another thing that everybody seems to report, because obviously you're giving the brain the proper nutrients it needs to run and function properly. All the good fats and the good cholesterol, as we call it. There's no such thing as bad cholesterol, as we know. And yeah, when you're running at an optimal level like that, yeah, life seems so much better. Um,
Yeah.
you know, um, so much so that I've got that much energy. I can go for a run in the evening. I mean, I couldn't even walk up a staircase a year and a half to 2 years ago without getting out of breath. I can actually sprint now. I think I have put up a video of me sprinting, um, and I intend to do some more of that kind of thing, just to show people my age. I mean, I'm 53. I never thought I'd be able to sprint again. How amazing is that? Now I won't beat Usain Bolt, but um, it's an amazing feeling. It really is. I feel like I've gained 20 years, or reversed 20 years of bad habits, and that's all it is, bad habits.
Yeah.
You know. So that's my
So
take on it. Yeah.
yeah, so now you've mentioned, and of course you see, like with everyone who's being interviewed and people who go on carnivore, they all seem to have these same improvements in their
Mm,
life. Like sleep is a very big one, a massive reduction or pretty much elimination
mm,
of inflammation, energy levels through the roof, massive clarity. The brain fog
mm.
disappears. Which change surprised you the most? Something that you didn't expect when you started this journey?
Um. Okay. Well, number one, the inflammation, the gout. I had sciatica also. I didn't mention that, but sciatica. So sometimes I'd have to be very careful getting off the sofa, just in case that nerve would get pinched. And jumping up. I didn't jump up in the mornings. I got up very carefully in the mornings and had to sit on the bed, and all that's gone away. So I mean, that apart from the weight loss, that's number two, is the inflammation disappearing from all these things. They're all caused by excess sugar and, inflammation. And then, after that, I found my circulation improved a lot. During the winter, because I started my career in construction, let's say, I started as a carpenter many moons ago when I was a young man. And I did a lot of work with a hammer. And over time, I noticed that during the winter, these three fingers on my right hand, my hammer hand, they started to go white as the temperatures dropped. I don't know if you've heard of this phenomenon. In construction, we call it vibration white finger. So basically, it affects the circulation in the smaller capillaries in the extremities where that vibration is felt. Now, I've met people over the years who have had that white finger, as we call it, all the way up to the elbows from using jackhammers. I knew a guy from Australia that had it right to his shoulders from using bigger jackhammers on the roads and whatnot in Australia. And he couldn't stick around where was that? That was in Scotland. During the wintertime, he had to leave. He couldn't.
Even though he wasn't doing that work, it was just the cold that.
Yeah, it was long-term, prolonged vibrations.
Wow.
That caused that to his capillaries and his blood vessels. So, and it's actually extremely painful. I knew what it was like in those three fingers, and for the last 2 winters, I haven't had that. The circulation is perfect in them. And they remain pink. That's another little shocker. I also had tinnitus, or tinnitus, as some people call it. And that was horrifying as well. I've had that for maybe 15 years. And I was blaming that on the fact that I spent my late teenage years through to my 30s in a rock band as a bass player. And loud the music on stage and all that kind of stuff, and then going to a disco or whatever afterwards, and and then being on construction sites and the loud noises and all of that. I had checked it out at the time with doctors, and they say, "Oh, that's incurable. There's no way to treat that. You're just going to have to learn to live with it." And it was only when I was about 6 months full carnivore that I realized, holy crap, that's gone. Wow. I don't hear that. I don't hear that anymore. And that was a big shock to me. And I've heard that from a number of people. Melissa B. From Australia, she has the same story. I was talking to her on her podcast about it. She has a similar story. Now hers isn't completely gone, but it's almost gone. And I've heard it from a number of people that carnivore cures tinnitus. Wow. Among so many other things. I mean, the list is endless, Patrick, as you know. My list is my list, but the next guy's list will include my list plus, I don't know, other things. We've seen so many stories, you and I, in this space over the last year or so, year or two, and the baseline all matches up for everybody. The energy, the sleep, the weight loss, the mental clarity, the inflammation issues. But then you hear so many other things. You've got people with type 2 diabetes reversing that. I mean, that's got to be sat up and flip and listened to, Patrick, and that's why we keep telling these stories. Type 2 diabetes is not irreversible. It's very irreversible. Even type 1 gets put on, remission, a certain amount. It can never be cured because it's type 1, but I know numerous people, including Peter, Dutch Carnivore. He's type 1. He's type 1 diabetic, and his insulin intake, let's call it, has dropped dramatically since he turned carnivore. Instead of 5 pens a day, he's now injecting 1 pen a day to keep his sugar levels balanced. And that's amazing, think of how many people can be affected if the word can just keep spreading. And, thankfully we're getting out there.
Yeah. Yeah, we
We
are.
are. I
Bit
think
by
we
bit.
are. Yeah.
Yeah,
Curiosity seems to be getting bigger and bigger.
absolutely. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, talking about your age, as you mentioned earlier,
mm,
you openly reference your age in your posts. You know,
mm,
you're feeling older before, feeling younger now.
mm,
Like, to those of the people who are listening or watching this podcast and they're like in their 40s or 50s and they're in denial about when
mm.
it comes to their health, what do you think goes on within them? Why are they in denial?
Well, I mean, people our age, or my age, let's say, they've been indoctrinated for many, many years through television advertisements, through, marketing, through indoctrinated medical system, and we've been bombarded with all this stuff for many, many years, and it's very, very difficult to break out of that loop and to, open your mind up to newer things. And that's the biggest factor, is trying to break that mold um, of years of listening to it and believing in it, and waiting for that miracle drug that never comes out. That's my take on it. When I don't watch much football, but when you sit down to watch a football game, all the adverts nowadays are all for Pfizer or, you know, Novo Nordisk, or all of these things that are supposed to make your life better, but they don't. They don't. None of them have cured anything yet. Not one of
Yeah.
them. Not one of them. So we have to start thinking differently, start thinking outside the box, and, listen to people that have actually healed themselves. And there are hundreds of thousands of us now with this story from across all walks of life in every country around the world that I know of. Um, they have to start listening, and we've got so many doctors on our side now as well. Dr. Ankur in India there, he's the Carnivore EP. I mean, he's conducting studies now on patients that come into his his ER, and he's studying these people as they come in with their coronary artery disease and their heart attacks and all of that. And he's compiling. I think he has about 200 now, and he's finding that most of these people are vegan or vegetarian. As you know, India has a very high population of vegetarian stroke vegan. Very low meat consumption. Those that are consuming meat might be a bit of chicken once every week or two, and that would be it. And he's finding that, the amount of people that come in to his ER with these heart attacks and problems, that they have low cholesterol, but that's the problem. Having high cholesterol is not a problem. And, it's more and more, these numbers are coming out now that they have to stop thinking of cholesterol as the enemy in the room, um, and start looking at other, alternatives. And carnivore, I mean, there are hundreds of thousands of us that are healing it in this way. You got to sit up and listen to that, surely, you know.
So your enthusiasm about this, which really shines through, and as you say, it's happening more and more, and people
Mm,
are being healed basically through carnivore. Is that the reason why you took your own journey from a private journey, because it was your own
mm.
personal journey, to a kind of a shared public journey?
Yeah, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I started my page uh, just before I started Carnivore. I said, okay, I'm going to track this in some way. So I thought about it for a bit, and I put my page together. And, I wasn't really posting much. I was just reposting stuff that kind of meant stuff to me. Like, it could be a Dr. Baker um, post, and I'd repost it to my own page, kind of thing. And I wasn't really, making reels myself. It was just like a log for stuff that I was interested in. And then, yeah, sadly, last July, 12 months, yeah, July 2023, My dad passed away from a horrible stroke. And, he had always been struggling, or he had been struggling for years before that. And he passed away. I was by his side, luckily enough, when he passed. And it wasn't nice to be there, even though obviously I was going to be there for him, as my dad. But to see him suffer the way he did really cranked my heart.
Mm.
And that's when I sat down, having got over that grief somewhat. I sat down and I said, right, this is my moment to start spreading my story. I don't want this to happen to anybody else ever again, you know? So, yeah, sorry if I'm getting a bit teary-eyed about
No.
that bit,
Thank you for
but
sharing.
yeah, that was my why moment to start my page and start spreading my journey and, learning more and more how to get onto these things. And then, as you say, we started up the Carnivore community worldwide, and that kind of brought it to another dimension. And yeah, as I got more and more used to being on camera and starting to record more of my own stuff now as well. And these conversations are very important in spreading the word, and people can see that we're not making stuff up. It is real, it's emotional, it has affected our lives, and we want to help you too. And that's why we're all here. We're not looking to make a fortune out of it. We just want to spread the message that there is a better way, and
Yeah.
that's kind of how I became more and more and more involved in it. It was a kind of a two or three step process, but my dad's passing was the big one that got me revved up, let's say.
You co-founded the Carnivore community. You're hosting conversations. There's live streams on Carnivore community. I think they're even happening on live on YouTube as well.
Mm-hmm.
What gap did you feel existed that made you want to create this space?
Well, it initially started off as just a chat group called the Carnivore Community. I wasn't the first one in there. There were a number in there before me. But as that grew and gained in popularity, let's say, and we realized, okay, let's not make this too big. Let's keep it to 20 or 30 people, and let's get to know each other and share our stories and ask each other's questions. And how did this work for you? How does that work for you? And we found that talking to each other helped our own journeys and in how we were spreading the message, having the perspective of 25 or 30 other people really started to make sense and resonate. And then Selena said to me one day, she said, Brian, why don't we go live? My account is big enough now that we can do a live. We can talk on air. So I said, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. So I was actually the first one on a live with Selena. And I think Jonathan, and I think you were on the first one as well, Patrick. You were in that group
Was
too.
I on the first one?
I
Yeah.
think you were. Yeah, I think you were.
Ooh.
If not the first, at least the second one. Yeah. And that worked so well, and the conversation flowed so nicely, and we had already been texting each other, and it was so lovely to see in person us talking to each other live on air, and it didn't matter whether there were 5 people watching. It was just fun, and it was, a buzz. And after that one, we said, right, let's keep this going, but let's advertise it a bit. What do you say? And let's bring other people in, and let's make it this, that, and the other. So, we didn't see it going as huge as we can see it going now. I mean, some of our YouTube videos are getting 2,000 or 3,000 views now. And that's quite good because the YouTube is in its infancy, really. We only started that about, 3 months ago. And yeah, it's just growing and growing and growing. As you said there, we kept climbing up the ladder with those lives, and we ended up with Dr. Chafee and Sean Baker and Bart Kay. All the big names are there talking away to us, and it's amazing, and we also have the middle foreground people in there. We have Scotty Brizzle, we had Rupert Degas. It's amazing even to talk to those people as well, because they're becoming mainstream now also. And yeah, it's a wonderful space to be in. It really is. And the love, the love that everybody shows each other. And we get called the carnivore cult, which is absolute nonsense. We're a carnivore family, and that at least that's how it feels for me.
Well, you make a good point there, because just like you have the vegan cult, right? They're very much into their own beliefs. Yes, people say this about carnivore as well. So when you get people on the show, on your show, on the carnivore community, how do you make sure that the conversation is genuinely useful and not just reinforcing beliefs and talking within this same echo chamber?
I don't know how to put it, really. I think, by calling these groups community and all of that kind of thing, it takes the narrative away from this whole cultish feeling that these other groups, as you say, the vegans, have this really attack mode kind of a group thing going on. I mean, I've never seen it, but I believe a lot of vegans go and follow carnivores just to throw hate at them.
I know.
I've never seen or heard of a carnivore following a vegan to throw hate at them. We just don't do that. So, where's that hate coming from? It's a lack of malnutrition in my mind completely. As you know yourself, Patrick, with carnivore comes, like with the mental clarity comes a sense of calm. For sure, it does. I mean, I don't get mad at things anymore. Don't get angry at things in the way I used to, because I think clearly and rationally now. The little things don't worry me at all.
Yeah, it's true. Let me share this little bit, and you might have heard me talk about this also in one of the podcasts. When I did my coaching course with the Institute of Integrative Nutrition in 2012, and I was vegan at the time. And I don't know if you know how this system with them works, but basically they don't teach you in a certain nutrition direction. They teach you how to coach, but they give you all the different nutrition ideas that are out there. So from vegan to, at the time it was Atkins, right? It was kind of the most extreme you would find. And I remember hearing this talk. So I was vegan, right? Hearing this talk from Sally Norton from the Western Price Foundation. And she said, I didn't realize this until more than a decade later. It was brilliant. She said, like, the problem with a lot of vegetarians, especially vegans, is that exactly as you say, they're malnourished and they get really angry. So basically not eating animal food makes you really angry. And you know what my first reaction was when she said this? I was like, fuck off. I exactly had the reaction that she was talking about, but I didn't even see it at the time. Now looking back, I'm like, man, that really set me off. I exhibited that exact behavior that she was talking about. So I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, I see it across the board, in so many, of our community people, you see their posts and all of a sudden a vegan jumps in there in the comments, and I'm sure you've had it as well.
Of course.
Yeah, and it's really hateful and spiteful, and they call you all the things under the sun. It's horrible. It really is.
The supposed compassion they have for animals doesn't translate towards other humans. That's for sure.
No. They don't realize that they're blind to the fact that the vegan diet kills more animals than the carnivore diet, believe it or not.
It's interesting you say this. One of my best friends was a vegan for a long time, 10, 15 years, well before I met him. And he didn't become carnivore, but he started eating meat again. And he was he was with us for Christmas, and we were talking with a group of people about, because everybody who was there, apart from me and my girlfriend, they used to be vegans before, and they're not anymore. They're not carnivores, but they're not vegans anymore. And the interesting thing was that they come around to this fact that their idea of being vegan and therefore being compassionate with animals wasn't correct, because my friend said, like, I didn't realize how many animals get killed in order to sustain my vegan lifestyle. So that was really nice to hear that from a mouth of someone who was quite militant vegan. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they just don't realize that if they don't kill them with the spray, the glyphosate and all these things that they're sprayed on the crops, if they don't kill them with that, they'll chop them up with the combine harvesters and make bits of them. And like I said to one vegan one day, I said, you know, I grew up on a farm, and I always wondered why the seagulls follow the combined harvester around the field.
It's a free buffet.
It's exactly, it's chopped up animals. So, you know, what can you say? They had no argument for that. You know, I've seen it firsthand many times when I was younger. Growing up in Western Ireland, there was a lot of crop harvesting going on. Yeah. Now I know why.
Now you know why, yeah. So a lot of people, when they see like all these carnivore transformation, let's call them that way, they're also looking for hacks. Now, from your own personal experience, what part of the process you believe simply cannot be outsourced, or it cannot be shortcut?
Yeah, there are no hacks. There are no one-size-fits-all scenarios. The number one thing is to listen to your own body. You know, eat nutrient-dense foods when you're hungry, and don't eat when you're not hungry. Simple as that. It'll fall into place in your own way, you know. And as long as you're, you know, listening to what's going on inside your body. When you're thirsty, you need water. If you're feeling lethargic, you need electrolytes. If you get a bit of a headache, again, take some salt. It works differently for different people. So hacks I don't give out, really and truly. I've stopped looking at all that, to be honest. I know what my body feels good on, but that's a learning process you've got to go through to get to the optimal, in my opinion.
So no shortcuts.
Stop looking for hacks.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. Stop looking for hacks. You know, do the slog and stop looking for shortcuts. That's what got you there.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a quick fix. It takes a little bit of time. Stop thinking you're going to change your life in 1 month. It's not going to happen. You need at least 3 months to even come close to being fully fat adapted and fully energized and all of that, and everything will kick into play within 6 months. So stop thinking about, you know, I love and hate at the same time January being carnivore month. Yes, it's amazing, and it's the right time of year for people to make changes, and they're sick of all the other diets, so let's give this one a go. And yes, they will feel some benefits in the 4 weeks of January, but that doesn't mean you should stop there. I mean, it should be World Carnivore Month every month, in my opinion. There's no starting date. There's no stopping date.
Yeah.
You know, you see a lot of these influencers now starting to add back in carbs and all that. Yeah, that's fine. Go for it. If you're feeling good, that's great. We'll talk about fructose later, but you know, once you feel the optimal, you know, you don't need any hacks. You know, just listen to others, listen to their journeys, see what works for you, see what fits inside your budget. People have different working lives, you know, some are inside, some are outside. It depends on what works. Do the best you can and stop looking for hacks. You know?
Yeah, I think you
That'd be
said
my
a
advice.
really important thing there. And you just said it, and you might not even realize it, but you don't need hacks. I think that really sums it up. When I can see how in many times when people try to transform their lives through diets, most of the time, of course, yeah, hacks could be very useful. I feel just like you and I would really like this for people who are listening to this who are not carnivore to really sink in. Like when you
Mm.
do the carnivore diet, you don't need hacks. It is almost the hack, isn't
It
it?
is the hack.
Itself. It is the hack. What other hack do you need
Mm.
than starting to feed yourself with a diet that the human body has been designed for?
Mm.
Now,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, please go ahead.
Well, I would say it's not really a hack, but educate yourself first before you jump straight into it. I would say that's a hack. Um, you know, do a deep dive online, listen to the likes of Patrick, other coaches, myself, if you want to, and all these people that are spreading wonderful information online. Listen to all these podcasts, hear a load of stories, work it out for yourself, and then make a slow and educated start on carnivore.
Yeah.
That would be probably the best hack that I
Yeah.
could say. I wouldn't
Yeah.
even call it a hack, but it's just more advice. But yeah, go ahead. You were about to ask something there.
I cannot remember my question because
Sorry.
they just come and go as we speak.
Okay.
But I think this was very beautiful, and yeah, it's not necessarily a hack, but a very good piece of advice. Not to just jump in, but to also know what you're getting into, especially coming from when the crappier your diet was, the more you going to have. I don't want to use the word suffer because that makes it sound terrible, but you can really have some bad keto flu. You can really feel the detox, what we all call, everybody goes on these juice detoxes and detox. But when you go on an all meat diet, or you go on a carnivore diet and you come from a crappy diet, you're also going to detox because there's a lot of crap in your body that needs to come out.
Well, sugar.
And sugar, sugar, of course, being pretty much the main one, but even all the preservatives and everything that you find in all the boxed foods you find in the supermarket. So yeah, education, I think definitely educate yourself and otherwise come and see us, you, me, anybody in the carnivore space. Is there anything that we haven't discussed that you feel is important for people to hear?
We've covered a lot, but as you know, in this space, we have a lot of subjects to cover. So,
yes,
we keep spreading that online. Off the top of my head, other than to advise people to give this a try. If you've tried everything else and it hasn't worked, what's stopping you? We've covered all the bases on this. We've all lived the same journey. Some of us for 2 years. We know people that are 8 or 10 years doing this. We know rancher Maggie. She's 85. I don't know if you know her, Patrick.
Yeah, I've heard of her.
I'm sure you have. Yeah. Well, if you go to her page and have a look at her, she's been carnivore for 65 years, and she looks like a 40-year-old woman and just as fit as a 30-year-old. And she's 85. It's unbelievable how she looks and moves. And, I want to be like that when I'm 85. I'll guarantee you that. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
Who
Yeah,
wouldn't?
absolutely.
I know how this has made me feel. Go try it for yourself and see. That's what I say.
Beautiful. Brian, if anybody who is watching this has been inspired by you and they want to follow your work, they want to learn more about you, about what you're doing, what you're going to be doing in the future, where can they find you?
Well, currently, at the moment, I'm only on Instagram at hunter-gatherer mindset. I even forgot it there for a second. Yeah, hunter-gatherer mindset. Yeah, that may change in the future. I'm not quite certain yet, but for the moment, that's where you get me. That, and also you'll see me a lot on and promoting the carnivore community worldwide, or as we affectionately call it, TCCW. We're an international group of carnivores that have decided to group together and spread our message of healing across the world, and it seems to be working, and we are growing exponentially. And that is on YouTube also, and will spread further soon. So Yeah. I think we have a Facebook page as well. Yes, we do. Yeah. So it's the Carnivore community worldwide.
I'll make sure that it's all written down in the show notes so people can go
Cool.
and visit that. And I'll also make sure that people have a link to the hunter-gatherer mindset. And in case that changes, I will amend that over time as well. Let's see what happens.
Okay.
Amazing.
But,
well,
yeah.
Brian, I just want to thank you for coming onto the show. I want to thank you for sharing your story. I want to thank you for all the work you're doing as well to put this out in the world without aggression and without pushing and without dogma and without it being a religion, but really by informing people and showing people what is possible and how it's possible and how you can take responsibility back to yourself. So thank you very much for coming on.
Not at all. It's been a pleasure to talk to you again, Patrick. I mean, we do talk regularly, and we've actually met in person as well, which is
we did.
Quite,
we shared
quite
some
cool.
lamb chops.
We did indeed, and that was amazing. It's great to meet people within this space. I've met Dennis recently in Helsinki. I met Jonathan in Norway, and it's amazing to just shake these people's hands. That you see them on Instagram and all the social media, but shaking their hand and sitting down and having a meal with them, that was just an amazing experience to have with you. And also the rest of them. I've had a steak with the others as well. And who knows who I'll meet next.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Brian.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure, as always, Patrick.
So for everyone who's watching this show, who's been watching Brian talk here, if you feel inspired by his story, if you feel inspired by the carnivore community, I would invite you just take a moment after this podcast, after listening, or perhaps you're watching it, and just to sit with it and let it all sink in. You will be able to follow everybody through the show notes down here. If you feel like this story that Brian just told us is something that someone else should maybe hear, because you feel like, just like he's been doing with his colleague, they could have this little extra seed planted perhaps in turning their lives around and their health around, and please share this podcast with them. Otherwise, we would be very happy if you leave a comment down below as well. Maybe share your story, share what you feel about Brian's story, like the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, hit that bell icon that's there as well, so you know when the next podcast is going to be released. And then all that rest for me to say is thank you very much once again for watching, and I shall see you next time, and welcome to your upgrade. Thank you for watching the Patrick Alexander podcast.